Hello there and welcome back to my channel, or if this is the first video of mine you are seeing, then welcome. I have my cute, look at this shirt. It has cheetahs on it, and I know you can't see, but at the bottom it has tigers on it, and I just love this shirt so much. I got it from TJ Maxx. I'll have the brand name listed for you in the description box below. I think it's like Jane and something. I'll have it for you below, but I probably won't be able to link it because, you know, TJ Maxx, but maybe you can find it by that brand name. But I just love this shirt. It's kind of like an oversized. I just had to talk about it for a second. But now, I am not a project panner. I've never actively tried to pan anything, like actually pulling products from my collection and saying, yes, these are the products that I want to pan, you know, have a list. I keep up with, you know, tracking the usage and everything. I've never done that, but I definitely admire those who do. And I saw a video recently from Sarah Rose Beauty here on YouTube, so I'll link her channel and everything below in the video where she did this, because I was inspired by that video. Because even though I'm not a project panner, I wanted just to kind of use this as like a reference. I have what I'd consider maybe like, you know, a mid-size collection. It's not small, but it's also not, you know, the largest I've seen. I think it's kind of right there in the middle, with certain categories being, you know, the biggest. Like my eyeshadows and my blushes would be my largest collection, but I'll soon be doing an eyeshadow palette declutter, like both drugstore and high-end, so I'm hoping that'll be coming soon in the next couple of weeks. But I just wanted this as a reference point. How many products do I actually have pan on in my collection? Now, I do have some that are close to hitting pan, but they're not quite there yet. And this was a very humbling experience because I have 7. That was humbling to know that out of this collection, you only have pan in 7 products. So I just thought it'd be interesting to talk about these products today. I have 2 eyeshadow palettes where I have pan in shades, well, in 1 shade each from each palette. So I want to talk about that first because eyeshadow was like a really big thing for me. I have a large eyeshadow palette collection. Lately, I've been doing like these one and done looks like I'm doing right here. This is the shade Ritz from ColourPop that I'm wearing. I've been doing a lot of that recently, but I still love eyeshadow palettes. I still want some of them. So to have at least 2, it's not so bad. Now the first one, well, actually both of these palettes are no longer available, sadly. The first one is the Anastasia Beverly Hills Sultry palette. I know they recently brought this palette back in like a 9-pan around the holidays. I'm not sure if it's still available. I never got that one, so I can't speak for the quality, but I do have major pan in this shade right here, which that is the shade Fresh. And reason why I do have such a large pan in that is because I did use this shade to set like my eyeshadow primer with, because it's basically like my skin tone. I do have a pretty good dent in this shade right next to it, but I haven't had pan yet, so we just have 1 pan in this whole palette. Personally, I feel like this was one of ABH's best palettes. It's sad that it's no longer still available, that you can't purchase this one. And I would love to hit pan and maybe a few more shades in this, like maybe I could start a project pan. Maybe this would be a palette that would be good for that. I don't know. I love watching that kind of content, but just because I love makeup so much, I love trying out all kinds of things. I buy a lot of makeup. I just don't know if it would be something that I could do consistently, but I want to, so we'll see what the future may hold. The next palette, boy, do you remember the launch for this? If you were a part of that, the Pure Cosmetics and rawbeautykristi palette. This was the, you know, the double-sided palette that she had. And you know, I figured that if I hit pan, it would be in this side, like the more neutral side. Actually not. It was in this side. And I have pan, I'm hoping you can see that, in Lumos. And basically the reason why it's that particular shade is when I used to do a little bit more of colorful looks for my Instagram, I used that white shade quite a lot. I would use it to kind of like set my eyeshadow primer to kind of give me a little bit more of a white base. And then I did do a look on Instagram where for Halloween, I did my face like a deer. Of course, I love deer, so that goes as no surprise. And I would use this shade a lot for that, and that's why I do have baby pan in it. And it was, at the time, really the only white shade I had in my collection at all. And there might be a few more palettes now that might have it, I'm not sure. I don't really... White eyeshadow is just not something I really think about. When I think of setting my base, or like my eyeshadow primer, I more so think about like a skin tone shade. So to hit pan in this palette at all is, you know, I'm surprised at that, and I'm quite proud that it did happen because I wasn't actually intentionally trying to do that. But yeah, me hitting pan on that, I figured it would be more so on the neutral side. So I know white is technically a neutral color, I guess, but you know, when I think of like a stark white eyeshadow, I don't really think neutral for the most part, but I wanted to mention it. I believe these are the only pans I have in eyeshadow palette. I haven't gone through every single palette in my collection. I will be honest about that. These were the front 2 that come to my mind that I knew absolutely that I had pan on. I do want to do that declutter soon, so I will be going through all of my eyeshadow palettes then and talking about them, swatching them and everything. I'm hoping to do that sooner rather than later, but it is such a daunting task. I know that it's going to be hard for the most part because there will be some that I'm not going to want to part with, and there are some that definitely need to go because I know I'm not using them, especially palettes that are very colorful. I'm not using colorful eyeshadow really anymore these days. I'm using neutrals. That's like my go-to. It's what I've grown to love the most. So a lot of these palettes that I have that have just all color, I don't need to have them in my collection. They need to go to somebody who would use them. Okay, I'm going to go in with primer here, and this is from e.l.f. This primer doesn't exist anymore, not this particular version, but this is the e.l.f. Cookies and Dreams Putty Primer. And as you can see, I have a really big pan in this one. I love the e.l.f. Putty Primers, like the original. Not the liquid one is fine, but the original putty primers like this in the little pot thing, or little tub, whatever you want to call this, they are my absolute favorites. They are my favorites. I have gone through multiple of these putty primers, not this version exactly, not the cookies and cream, but the original. I had a huge pan in that when I first started my channel here. I did end up using that up. I had one of the acne fighting ones. I had a huge pan in that. I've used that one up completely. I now have the jumbo size of the original putty primer, and it's sad they don't sell that one anymore. I think that was like a limited thing they were doing. I think they should make that permanent, and I probably will eventually hit pan on that too. It'll probably take me a little bit longer since it is a little bit bigger of a tub, but this is one of my favorite primers. This is absolutely worth everything. Like panning it, using it up completely, I definitely will. The Cookies and Dreams one isn't available anymore, but all the other versions of the putty primer are nice. I like them, so definitely this comes as no surprise that I would hit pan on this product. So while we're on the topic of kind of like primers, I use like my under eye correctors almost like primers for my concealer. So I have two here that I have hit pan on. The first one is from Smashbox and Becca. This is their under eye brightening corrector, and mine is in the shade Fair Light. I have pretty significant pan in this product, and this is still to this day my favorite under eye corrector. Don't get me wrong, I have tried some really nice ones from the drugstore, also from high-end brands as well, but there's just something about this one that I just always want to come back to. I love when it's in my rotation again, when I do my everyday makeup drawers for each month. I love when this product comes back into rotation. It's just one that I know is consistently a favorite. It works for what I need it to do. I don't really have any issues with any concealer laying strangely over the top of it. So it comes as no surprise that I'd hit pan on it. Yes, I know this product is a little bit more pricey. It's like $32, $33 or something like that. But to me, it's absolutely worth every penny and worth every time I use it up to get that pan. It's such a beautiful product. And then this next one right here is meant to be a dupe for that one. This is from e.l.f. This is their Putty Color Correcting Eye Brightener, and mine is in the shade Fair. Now I do have a little bit of a smaller pan, but I have had the Smashbox and Becca one a little bit longer, but I have hit pan in this one. This one is equally as nice. This is the one I'm wearing today underneath my concealer, and I do like this one as well. I think that if you don't want to pay the money for the Smashbox and Becca one, this one is just as lovely. I don't know, I guess I favor that one because it was kind of like the first under eye corrector that I really fell in love with, so I have a soft spot for that one, but this one is really nice. I'm not surprised that I hit pan on it. It's another one that I like to rotate very frequently into my collection, into my everyday makeup drawer, because I just enjoy using it. I just think that it lays really nicely under any concealer I use. It does a nice job of actually covering my little bit of darkness that I have under my eyes too, so it's no surprise that I hit pan on this one, and it's worth all the panning. It's worth using up completely. The first one that I'm going to mention here is kind of sad because the cap part is really cheap plastic and it is starting to crack around the end here, and I've completely worn the writing almost completely away. But this is the Rimmel Stay Matte Pressed Powder. This is in the transparent shade, and they don't call it translucent, just transparent. This is one of my favorite powders, but I love using this powder for more so to set my eyeshadow primer. Now, I have set my face with it in the past, and I like it for that, but I feel like it's more so better for someone who doesn't have a super oily skin, because, well, I mean, it says on here that it controls shine for like up to 5 hours or something like that. I don't even know if it makes it that far. I have a little bit more oiliness in my T-zone, and I don't really rely on this one to set it completely. So I more so like using this as maybe a touch-up powder or to set my eyeshadow primer, but it is one that I really like, and I think that if you have more of a drier skin type, you might actually really like this, because whether you use a puff or a brush, I feel like it's kind of really firmly pressed, so you're not going to pick up a lot of product. And I feel like, you know, with powder, if you have dry skin, sometimes that can be, you know, if you accidentally go a little overboard, it can make things look so much worse, or, you know, cause texture. I don't know if you would really have that issue with this one because of that reason, and it's a nice one. This is my third one. I have completely used up 2 of these. This is the third one I have, and I absolutely will repurchase it once I use this one up. I just really like this powder. It's a good solid powder for just like some touching up throughout throughout the day. The next one is another powder that I absolutely love. This is also from the drugstore. This is the CoverGirl Clean Fresh Pressed Powder. This is in the translucent shade, and I do have pan in this one. It was my goal, I believe maybe a month or so ago, in one of my everyday makeup drawer. I guess, now while it wasn't intentionally a project pan item, it was my goal to hit pan on this because I do really love it. And I feel like it's very validating to hit pan on something that you truly love. And this is such a nice powder. It is very lightweight. I love going in with like my little puffs here. I have been loving these little teeny puffs that you can get at Dollar Tree. Like, they come in a set of 4 of them, and I've just been loving them. Just putting them in the powder and just going right under my eye. They're small enough where I can really get into that inner corner if I need to. I just really like these. I just want to give them a little shout out, but these work perfectly with this. I know it comes with a little puff in it, but I don't really use this very much. I like more of that little pointed, more eggy shape a little bit more, so I can get into this inner corner, but this is such a nice powder. I do also have one of these in the skin tone version, and I do like that one, but I find that I like the translucent version better, simply because, you know, when I'm using it, more often than not, I don't really want my powder to add more coverage for what I'm looking for. I more so just want it to set. And that's what I get with this powder. It's such a lovely powder. And it is one that I definitely, if I use it up, I would definitely run out and repurchase it immediately. It's so nice. It sets very well, and it doesn't look cakey or heavy. Now today, I'm very glowy in here because I use an hourglass powder. You know, it's more of a glowy finish, but I like the way this sets. It sets everything so nicely. It's such a beautiful powder. I would definitely recommend it to anyone. But there you have this just really short and sweet video. I just love the idea of this. I don't know. I liked watching Sarah's video when she did this and showed the products that she had pan on in her collection, and I just kind of wanted to see what products, if any, that I had pan on. Just, you know, were they favorites and that's why they hit pan, or was it just something that I just happened to be using? You know, I don't know. I thought it was really interesting just to kind of touch base and kind of ground myself a little bit to see just how little product that I have in my collection that I have pan on. That really makes me think a little bit more about going forward. Should I try to actually do project panning? We'll see. If you are pro project panners, I mean, I would love to hear any tips, tricks, anything. I would love to hear it. But I do hope that you enjoyed today's video, and if you did, I hope you will please consider leaving a like, a comment, and subscribing if you haven't already, and hit the bell notification so you are alerted to all my future uploads, and follow me over on Instagram at Jessica Dearly, and I hope to see you in my next video.